Hi everyone, this is Yuvraj Shrestha with another episode of Masonite API development series. In our previous episode, we talked about migrations, the way to create migration and modifying migrations. So in this episode, we'll talk about models. So models are just class, but it helps us interact with our database without actually writing queries. So it's easy way to interact with our database. Here is a documentation for that. This command will help you create models, so you can do a lot of stuff with the models. I insist you go through this documentation to understand more in depth about these models. In our tutorial, I will show you how to create models based on our previous migrations that we created, also based on our database design. So let me show you that first. Mistake. So here, if I go to localhost 8000 and docs, then here we have our ER diagram. So we have user, blog, and category. So we do have migration for all those tables, but we don't have models yet. So let's create model for those. You can either copy paste this model, or you can also use the command python craft help. So if you check the list of these commands, then you can see a model. So if you run python craft model, then this will create a new model file. So let's do that. Python craft model. So we also have to provide a model name. We are creating model for category, that's why category, and our category model has been created here inside app and then models directory. Also, let's create model for blog, and now we have model for blog. If you don't pass any name, then this will use the name of this class and pluralize it. So the name of this blog, the title blog will be blogs. So if you don't pass any table name, then it will automatically use blogs as a table name. Okay, so but let's say you have different table name and you want to use a different class name here, then you can pass in table property here in this manner, and you can define whatever class you want to use. Database you want to do, database table you want to use here. Okay, but because we have blogs table and we have blog model, we don't have to actually write the table name here, but we must define fillable properties, otherwise we won't be able to insert data using model. So fillable property, this will take an array where we'll be passing all the properties that you want to fill from the form. Okay, so this is blog. Let's open up our blog migration, and we do have, you don't have to actually focus on ID and date times, just focus on whatever new fields you have created. Okay, so we do have title and then slug excerpt content user ID. That's it. No, I think we added status also in our previous video episode, so let's add that here as well. Status, perfect. Remove this one, and inside category let's do the same. Create fillable property and then define all the fields that you have in your category migration. So inside the migration we do have name, slug, and status. Okay, so now we have two models ready to come, which helps us communicate with database. Okay, we can actually use this tinker command to play with model, just to check how it works. So if you check the description, then this will run a Python shell with a container preloaded. Let's do that and see what happens. Python craft tinker. So now it says this imported these items. So this imported environment, pendulum, URL, asset, load, config, and more. And in our models, this also loaded block, category, and user. So we do have access to all those three models. Okay, now let's see how many users are there in our database. Let's say users equals to user.all, hit enter and print users.count. So this will give the total number of users that we have in our database. So we have one user. We just created blog and category. I'm not sure if we have data in our database or not, but let's check that. Blocks equals to blog.all, print blocks.count. So we don't have any blocks yet. What about categories? Category.all, print categories.count. So we do not have blocks, we don't have category. Let's try creating one category. Okay, so I'm going to create an object here, category equals to category. Now category dot name equals to, let's call it blog or story. Category dot slog equals to story. Category dot status equals to draft, and then category dot save to save the data. So finally our category has been created, and if you want to check the number of items in our categories table, then do run that category dot all. We are getting all the data we have in our database, and if you try to print the count, then now you can see we have one category. So let's print the name of that category. We can also do that by using category equals to category dot first. So getting first item, we only have one item, so it doesn't matter. Let's do that. Now if you print the name of category dot name, then you can see we have a story. If you print the status of category, then the status of our category is draft. We also can update the value of category, so you can do this category dot status equals to published and category dot save. Perfect. So now we have our category, and the status for that category has been changed. You can also use this tinker command to debug whatever you have or test whatever you have in your models or all these stuffs. Okay, I'm going to exit from here for now, and let's create one method here inside our welcome controller. Let's call it def categories, and we need self. Okay, and let's get all categories here. Categories equals to category dot all, and let's return the categories. So now we have created one method where we are getting all the list of categories and returning the category. So let's create one route for that as well. Go to routes, web, and then from here route.get, let's call it categories and welcome controller 8 categories That's it. Let's start our server, python craft serve. Let's go to Chrome, and here let's give categories here. So now you can see we do have one category here in our database. Perfect. So now let's create another category. I'm opening another instance of terminal here, and python craft tinker. Now category equals to another new category here, and category dot name equals to blog, category dot status equals slog equals to blog, category dot status equals to draft, and then category dot save. Exit from the tinker here, and let's go back to our categories list, refresh the page, and now you can see we do have two categories, and the status for the first category is published, and for the another one is it's draft. So the query was quite simple. Okay, so what we are doing here is select all from categories. So behind the scene, this query is being run by this model or helper. So this is what models are for. It makes our task easier while playing with our database. Okay, what if you want to get all the records which has status draft? Then in that case, what you can do is write when, where status of category is draft. So here instead of all, what you have to write is get. So get all the records, get all the categories where status is draft. So what you are doing here is select all from categories where status equals to draft. So you are running this command behind the scene. So let's go back to our page and refresh. So now you can see item with draft category is being shown. You can also write published here so that you can get all the published categories. So this is it for models. So there are a lot of commands in models if you want to play with, if you want to play, but we won't be going through each and every items related to this model, because in our few other episodes we'll talk about APIs and stuff, where we are going to learn so many things about models and relations and stuff. But this is just a hint on how models are used and how filters can be used. So I hope you liked this episode. If you have any questions, then you can ask in the comment down below. So stay tuned and save.